May the 18th, 2020, May the 18th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at the second largest embassy being constructed on the planet. The largest is the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, in the Green Zone, and this is in Beirut, Lebanon. It's also U.S. Now, there's two things that go hand in hand are U.S. embassies and the CIA. Just to get that out front. We've talked about it before back on Blog Talk Radio. We had a guy come in there, it was a Marine, and that was one of his jobs. He traveled around the world and checked on these communication bases in the embassies themselves. But this thing is huge. It is a city. Look at this. They took a top off of a beautiful mountain in Lebanon. And this is next to the old U.S. Embassy, just out of the picture, slightly, and we'll look at that, is the original embassy. And it's kind of a normal size. You've got a helioport. It looks like you got some living quarters or apartments there in the main embassy building. It's 5 or 6 stories tall. But this is a city within itself. And there's a couple scenarios. One is this could hold all the politicians, the major players in the U.S. if something happened and went down in the U.S. And again, look at the turrets along the walls here. At line of sight bends here, here, here. We'll look at some closer pictures. These are turrets like in a prison system. And this building at the end of the construction has very little windows. Notice that. I can't tell really what's inside there. It looks like very small, maybe compartments. But all of these are a lot more windows in these sections. And I'm going to show you some artist renditions of what it's going to look like when it's completed. But you know, it reminds me of a movie. I can't remember the name of it. Brad Pitt's in it. He has to fly to Israel, but the zombies are attacking everywhere, crawling over the walls. Some of you guys know what that is, but these walls remind me of that. And we can't have walls like that here in the U.S., but the embassies can. But now, if this embassy was built, completed, heavily armed and everything, and then it suddenly fell north of Israel, that could complicate matters too. It's going to be a major communications center because it overlooks the Mediterranean. Notice that. But let's look at some of the other images. Now, this is an artist's rendition. You can see the wall going off to the left, kind of double walls up and over. The wall continues down to the left. And notice this looks like the far end of the photograph or drone image, whatever that was. It said aerial photograph. And it looks like the very top of that section. But all of this is glassed in. Large buildings, which are not seeing along these walls, are the turrets. I'm not sure if that's on purpose or not, but you can see the city of Beirut off in the distance. Again, all of this, so far they're saying $1 billion has been invested, but we would never know the truth about that. Again, in a country where 80% of the people are below the poverty line. This is another rendition completed. A couple things we want to point out here is, of course, here's your flag. Here's your turrets along the wall. And this is going to go all the way around it. It'd be probably a very secure gate in here. But notice this goes underground right there. That would be in case of attack or a long-term underground bunker. There may be more underground than there is above ground. But it looks like a giant prison complex that you see in a science fiction movie. One with the main control center with the RoboCops and whatever it is. And then the prison facilities that's part of that. But what are they planning to do here? Are they planning on a rule of this section? Of course, when the nation's beat down, things have been bombed and blown up there, catastrophe after catastrophe, and then the nation becomes weak and it's easily taken over. And the people there, and there's articles you can read, they have no idea why they're building it so big there. Now, some of these walls here looks like something Trump would build. Notice that. But it's a fortress, and it will hold thousands and thousands of people, way more than any embassy will ever need. Something's going on here. We're not sure what it is, guys. I don't want to go on and on about it, but there's articles you can read, and let me give you just a little more information. Now, this is from Financial Times, a guy that's he made a live there, but he's talking about different things, and he's saying today Lebanon is immersed in a compounded financial, banking, physical, and debt crisis that the World Bank thinks may be the worst economic crisis anywhere since the mid 19th century. Now, yesterday, an arrest warrant was put out for the leader of Lebanon's financial group there, the same as Jerome Powell, like the head of the Federal Reserve. After 20 years of being there and making millions of dollars, probably billions, corruptly, now he didn't show up after the arrest warrant was issued, guys. So I guess they're still looking for him. But you know that he's probably involved with the same group that we're talking about. He said there's poverty and hunger, lack of fuel and medicine, joblessness, and mass immigration. There's also very little electricity. Central Beirut, a ghost town since a civic uprising began in the autumn of 2019 against the sectarian dynasty and the superannuated warlords that committed this crisis. It's now eerily black after dusk, especially since the gigantic chemical blast at Beirut's port in August last year devastated 5 districts. Destruction, and out of that destruction, guys, what is the symbol of the phoenix? Out of the ashes rises the new order. Well, think about what I'm saying, but that's how it got there and why it's there. What is the final outcome? I'd love to hear your comments below. I think Lebanon was mentioned 71 times in the Old Testament. The beauty of it, the cedars of Lebanon, all of that, the destruction of Lebanon, and that area, that section of Beirut, its name in Greek is Helios or Contra Helios, which means facing the sun. Just a side note there. Now, this one is not as big, again, as the one in Iraq. That one's 144 acres or something like this, and this is a little over 40 acres. But they're saying 22 soccer fields would fit in that. But there, also in this article, guys, it says that the U.S. Embassy here needs a defensible perimeter. In wartime Lebanon, the embassy on the Corniche and mainly Muslim West Beirut was blown to pieces by the precursors of Hezbollah in 1983, killing 8 CIA agents. Its successor in Christian East Beirut went the same way in 1984. All this on top of the vast 1983 truck bombing that killed 241 U.S. Marines and 58 French paratroopers. But quite why the U.S. is pressing ahead with this mega construct in a failing state where it has diminished or diminishing leverage against Hezbollah, the Iran-backed Shia paramilitary force, is baffling. It has colonized Lebanon's institutions and security forces to become a state above the state and the sentinel of Tehran's revolutionary guard on the Mediterranean and across the Levant. They're talking about Hezbollah, but they're also talking about CIA. Were these attempts an effort to get the CIA out of that part of the country? I don't know. But again, you've got Lebanon is ancient. They found bones there, which the Smithsonian got, that were over 30,000 years old. And one of the oldest cities that has been continuous is there. It's very old. It's very ancient, very historical. The Cedars of Lebanon is quite a history in itself. But again, we've got huge construction going on. A lot of money going to be going in there, and that's going to hold, guys, a city. And I guess it's a walled-in 15-minute city. That one may be a little bigger. But why? Why is it just a place for the elite to escape when the U.S. falls? I'd like to hear your comments below, guys. We'll follow up on it as we get more information. This is a heads up. Be safe.